Hey, how's it going? It's the Hook Better Leads podcast, and today I'm talking with James Wrest of Marketing Secrets for Electricians podcast. How you doing, James?
Awesome. Thanks for having me on. This is fun to be here and excited to talk about what we can do for people listening today.
Man, you're talking to electricians all the time, and what are the kind of like key problems that you see electricians facing in their marketing?
There's multiple aspects which we could touch on. The number one thing is I think, in my opinion, is the unwillingness to put yourself out there on camera.
Gotcha.
Because most people are afraid of being criticized, of being, putting themselves out there. Like, oh, like what if someone says what? Well, guess what? People like connecting with people. They don't like connecting with your business. It's just like an entity. There's no love there in a sense. Whereas you can relate to the person and you'll get more customers because you're a person, you're a real person. You have feelings, you have emotions, all that stuff. That is a key part in marketing. But electricians don't necessarily go there. I haven't seen many that will put their face out, and the ones that I do, I reach out and I want to talk to them because I know they're open to new ideas.
Awesome. And how do you let's get into the nuts and bolts of some of your strategy. How do you leverage those videos once they create them? This is primarily on Facebook. Is that the case? Or how do you use those to get them more leads?
Sure. So the platform, like it can be Facebook, it can be YouTube, it's kind of finding out where the electrician wants to be. So, and that follows where the customer is. So if their customers, who's their customer, who's your avatar, where are they at? And say they're on Facebook, great, let's go to Facebook. And one thing I like doing is when you're on a job, so electricians are doing jobs, especially domestic electricians, every day they're going to a house, they're meeting, well, maybe not so much with COVID, but they were going around and they're going in and they're installing the light or whatever. Record that. You don't even need to really be on camera. It's better if you can get your apprentice to film you doing the job and you stream that live. And on your phone, you can actually stream that to your area. So everyone in that area, Facebook will push like, hey, like there's an electrician doing a job. You mention what the job is, your area, and people will see you doing the work. And because they see you and they see you often, like, if you have every day you're in the same type of area, you'll keep popping up in their feed and you'll get more, known. And that's like without even doing anything extra, just recording what you're doing.
So a couple of things on that. I love that strategy. And I think you're absolutely right. People need to put themselves out there. They need to, if you want leads, if you want to, get more employees, if you want to get out of the work and into the, the running of the business and, have a more profitable business, putting yourself out there is a weird first step, but it is part of 2020 and beyond. That being said, let's get in like Facebook videos. I love that you're saying mention the city, mention the area, talk about it. Do you have to do it at what's the time of day if you were to say the ideal for these types of videos?
At the end of the day, it goes back to your customer, but there's no, like, in my opinion, you do it when you're there. So like if you're meeting a job at 7, you're on the, like, I try and push people to record everything in the sense, because you're documenting your journey and you don't know what amazing moments you're going to capture. And especially if you just finish a job and you capture your customer coming and go, wow, that, like, you've installed a light fitting, like, and they're raving about it. I've had customers do that and I've missed the opportunity to capture that on video, and that builds trust and rapport because you're like, people are seeing you're helping the customers, you're building trust.
Yeah.
And that's what the maybe online world, in my opinion, is about as well, is building that trust before they actually give you money. So you're like giving them content, and it's actually content what they're interested in, because, hey, I want to make my house cool down with the aircon, or I want to, have fancy lights, whatever that thing may be, is you can, give them that content before they actually need the job. Sure. And like, what's drink? No, you're well before you're thirsty. So it's like
drink. It's dig your well before you're thirsty.
That's the saying. Yeah, exactly.
McKay, yeah. Amazing book. And in his case, he's talking about a lot of things. Leads, right? You're building your audience before you're thirsty, before you need those leads. He's saying your, employees, like, you should be putting yourself out there. If you want to have employees, start building that network before you need those employees. Start talking to them.
You need to.
Yeah. And referrals too. Like At that moment that you need a bunch of referrals from your, your network, it's the worst time to ask. You should be already talking about referrals in every, at the end of every project. Hey, well, we know what we're headed for at the end of this project. We want you to refer us business. So that's how good we're going to do it. Talking about it before it's time.
Yeah, for sure. And I find the most electricians are actually good at that, or not. Maybe not good at, yes, but they could be better. But they get most of their work from referrals. Yeah. So what from talking to all the electricians are like, where do you get your work? Most of them are referrals, but the marketing, the online side of it, like that's where they're not there. Like most people are like, I put an ad in the paper, I spend 10, 20 grand, whatever on ads. What return on investment did you get? I don't know. Like you want to measure your return on your ad spend, especially now with Facebook and YouTube and Google. You can do that. Whereas the old days, and that's where it pays maybe to hire someone or at least get advice who's doing that instead of trying to do it yourself, because you don't have time. If you're running around managing your team, when do you have time to market?
So in that case, like the number you're talking about is return on ad spend. So for people that are numbers oriented, if you are one of those contractors who knows your numbers, who's solid at this stuff, think about that number more, the return on ad spend. We call it ROAS, ROAS. And, let's dig a little bit deeper into your strategy. Let's try to give away some value here. So we've got the videos out there, location, turning your camera on when you're doing something interesting, turn your camera on. It might not be interesting to you. Turn your camera on. Okay. Turn your camera on. No, like I think a weirdly helpful tip is no one cares about you. No one cares about you. That's why you should turn the camera on. People use that and they say, no one cares about me. I'm not going to turn the camera on. No one cares about you. You got to hustle for your business. You need to buck up, buddy. It's time. If you want to make this business happen, buck up, turn the camera on. No one cares about you. No one's going to judge you. They barely care. Barely care. Stop worrying about the way people judge.
I reckon it's also about focusing on them. It's about your customer. You're putting yourself second, they're first. How can you serve them? It's not about you, it's about them. So get online, get on the camera. But I've also recommended for people who maybe aren't ready for that camera step. It's like, I don't know, and if it's too hard, you maybe put it off. Yeah, like I'll do it tomorrow, I'm too busy. When you're driving in your car, just hit record on your phone and practice doing like podcasts. So if you're an electrician, talk about the job you just did. These small things where you're already in the car anyway, put the thing on record and just talk and practice getting your voice out there. And then from the voice, you get confidence and then you can do the camera.
Great advice and really important. Now, if you did a video that's kind of targeting a certain area, I know that you do ads, right? You're working with people for ads. I want to talk a little bit about the ad, like let's say the creative, the video or the text or the image or whatever you're using as creative for the ad, and the alignment with the landing page or the offer. So what have you found? Is there anything that you've found lately that really works for contractors that you've seen, in particular electricians, but I think it applies to any contractors. So like as far as like the principles.
Like I think it's a matter of, with ads and imagery, it's a matter of split testing for your audience. So if your audience is into whatever, they're into cars, okay, you have maybe something that they catches their attention and some words on the thing as their hook. It's like hook, and then they watch the video, whatever it is you're doing, and then you give them an offer. You send them over to your thing, whatever the thing is.
And do you offer like downloads and stuff like that, or like are you saying like a lead form, like get a
so for example, on the ad, I'm talking about, okay, you've got the hook, you got your story. So the story is your video, just like, hey, like here's my thing doing the thing. And then at the end of the video, like, hey, if you want more information, go to my site and get my free download digital thing on like how to save power, 101 tips on how to save power. If you're like a solar energy guy, like you could send them over to your website. They get that. Not a website. I kind of not against websites, just funnels are more effective. So, and in a funnel is designed to focus them on one thing. So a web page, for example, goes, click here, go here, go here, go all over the shop. Whereas a funnel is you're going here and you're getting the free book, and that's all there is there. So if they don't want the book, they leave.
Yeah. And I just want to encourage people like, you can, we call it a funnel, but really I would also say on a website, you could call this a squeeze page, meaning there's no other options. You take away the menu, you give the offer. There's only one next step is the real key
100%.
point here. It doesn't matter whether it's a page on your website or it's because I know that you use ClickFunnels or whatever the tool is that you're using. There's other ones, Unbounce, Lead Pages is in Minneapolis, which is kind of, a ClickFunnels competitor. But the idea is take away all the other options, give them absolute clarity. And then the copywriting on this page, the writing and the imagery is basically, you can optimize it to hell because there's nothing else going on.
Yeah,
you can
and that's
keep on
key.
making tweaks to make it better and better, because then, and like absolute clarity of action on a page is the real key that we're talking about. I call it a squeeze page. So just for people like knowing exactly what that means.
Yeah, totally. And then in my opinion, marketing is all about split testing. So you're split testing the ad, you're split testing the page, and even on the pages after that, where are you taking them? And that's where maybe people don't understand. Like when they opt in, you can take them somewhere else. Where on this funnel, and that's why it's a funnel, you're taking them down the journey. Like, for example, if they're interested in your solar free booklet, maybe they're interested in saving power. Okay, so what's something of the service you can provide to them that they would need next? Because you know what you need to save power. You know how to install it. They don't. They're completely new. Educate them, help them all along the journey to where they're at the point where they can go, okay, I want to go with you because you've given me, 5, 10 different points. And now I understand more what I want. I understand, that you're the guy for me. I'm not going to go, I've built a relationship with you. I'm not going to go to some random electrician in the paper now and try to do that because I don't know who he is. He's got no trust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm a big advocate for just like the people that want to always be at the bottom of the funnel, the marketers, the small business, we all want to be at the bottom of the funnel, but the people that do all their marketing down here lose out because there is a lot more attention up here at the top of the funnel. And a lot of people, I don't know the stats, but most people have already made their decision before they get all the way down here. So you're just, by being cheap, by being focused on the final decision only, the last click. In marketing, we call it the last click because, there's different attribution methods. Some of them, the first click, some of it's the last click. If you focus too much on that last click, it's not how humans work. We work by long-term relationships, and a lot of the stuff we're selling isn't cheap. If you don't want to be the cheapest person, stop focusing on the last click and focus on the relationship and building your brand. So that's totally in alignment with what I preach a lot.
Okay, cool. Because I also like, and there's so many, like, I don't know, there's so many electricians and in any trade really, like there's so many people out there. For me, it's also highlighting your uniqueness. So what do you stand for as a brand? What is your brand? The brand and you. So you're kind of two things. The brand is your business, but you are part of that brand. And what do you stand for? Like, what are your values? Tell people about them. Like if you've got a dog, also share the story, who this person is. Like a lot of I don't think I've seen, I've seen 1 or 2 electricians where they're actually doing that before. Like they're actually giving them, hey, this is me. I do this. I'm interested in that. And you're telling them a story about yourself. So you're building that relationship, and you can do that one to many. So this is where electricians are good. Actually, they're good at, once you're at the door and talking to the customer, they're good at that point. They're really good at, in person, on site, like closing the deal. But just getting to that point where you can close the deal is kind of the hard bit, because we're not really, my trade school didn't really teach us marketing whatsoever. It was just kind of go there, copy the competitor, but the competitor is not really doing a good job. So what do you do?
Yeah. And I love this book called The Challenger Sale, which it talks about the ideal, the person that closes the most business. There's a bunch of different like archetypes of salespeople. And the person who closes the most business is a challenger, meaning they're not afraid to tell you the truth, even if it goes against what you're saying to them. And in marketing, that can be applied, which means I'm okay saying what the market, what electricians should be doing, what contractors should be doing, and they're not. So a lot of contractors will do it this way, but we do it this way. You're actually challenging their idea of what people should be doing. And if you really do that successfully, then, and I'd love to hear if you have any ideas about how this applies to electricians in particular, because you have more experience talking to electricians. But this idea of like, if everyone else is doing that and you do this, you stick out. So different is better. That mindset of different is better. And you can be the person that says it's just plain wrong that most electricians don't do this, or that kind of thing. So if you challenge and if you do successfully challenge the status quo and you reframe the discussion in their mind, then nobody else will do. If you successfully reframe it, then they're going to not want the other electrician, because they want the person who reframes the way they think about it. And I do think that that's an opportunity. It's just in line with what you're saying about you need to actually stand for something. And I like to use the sentence like, it's just plain wrong. It's just plain wrong that, the competitor does this, or like, yeah.
Let's go through an example. For example, downlights. So downlights can be dangerous. Yeah, like in Australia, especially, like there's a big issue. Everyone installed downlights, and everyone's houses are burning down because they didn't get installed properly, because they get hot. So this is an issue. And I've been in multiple houses where you go up in the roof and like the downlights are smoldering, and you're like, okay, you got to get that changed. Yeah. Changing their belief, you tell them the story. Hey, I was in these houses, and there's fire, there's a danger. Do you want your house burnt down because of a light? It's simple stuff. So let's change it to LEDs. LEDs are more expensive, but what are the benefits? You save power. Like they're not hot, so you can actually touch them and they're not going to burn your house down. So, and changing their belief is telling a story. So if you can tell the story, it's not selling, it's just telling a story. And then at the end of it, they realize what you realize. Hey, I better have LED lights because it's better. Just simple.
Yeah, exactly. And we're scared. We're scared to challenge. I think it's effective because most people are scared. They want comfort in the moment in that conversation with the homeowner. They're afraid that if they challenge the homeowner a little bit, they might have a little bit of uncomfortability because now that homeowner is going to be thinking about price and all these different things. But you're making that decision for them. Like you're deciding that they're poor and they can't afford this. Like you're deciding that right now for them. Hey, why are you making that decision for them if it's possibly the best thing that they could do? And it's not being an asshole about it. It's just giving them all the options and being respectful.
Be honest. Honesty. Like people can sense if you're like being deceptive or like you're lying or you're not telling them everything. They can feel it. Yeah. So just, hey, this is how it is. And like, you can go down this path. Like if you want me to, I can do this job, but I'm recommending this. It is more expensive, but it's a better way. And they like follow your guidance. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, like, I think about this, a lot of contractors that I've talked to are actually pretty good at this thing that I'm talking about. So then it's just scaling that out through video or other content to actually give the truth and give take what you're doing in person and just do it on video. Like just put it on video, because if you're already challenging people, if you're already very honest, if you're already trying to give them the best thing, if you're already just trying to lay out the options, just find a way to do that at scale. And both video and just writing on social media are great ways to do that at scale.
And even so, video and writing. So for me, it's also turning those videos into blog posts. So you can do both in this at the same time. You repurpose the same content. You don't need like, I don't like writing. Yeah. I'm like, it's not a thing I wanted. I'd rather talk. I'll get on video. I'll talk. It's so much easier and more effective. And it just like my first post, for example, I struggled to write it. It took me like hours. And then the next time I did this strategy where I just talked about the thing I wanted to explain, and then I got it transcribed. I went through and kind of edited it so it made sense like a blog, and you're done. It takes like, quarter of the time and energy to do the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people do not do repurposing content enough in your marketing. Like you can do something once and it can turn into 10 pieces of content.
Yeah, for sure. Especially video.
I think that's great. I mean, you and I both use video and then turn it into audio clips. And then, like you can take pieces of that and turn it into social media posts. And you can also take the audio and turn it into a blog post. So there's just repurposing in general. I want to circle back real quick, kind of round out the episode with a little bit of time on the A/B testing or the testing, because you're testing landing pages and you can do that through ClickFunnels.
Yeah, totally. Like literally you go clone and you can change a word or a picture or an image and then you see what happens.
And what would you say are some of the kind of A/B tests that you've seen, like specific things that you've seen come out of A/B testing that you were surprised by, or that made a better return on that?
So you can try all you want to make a perfect picture, and then you put up some random picture and it does better, and you're just like, you don't understand, like, how does that work? But apparently your audience likes that better. Who knows? You're not them. Who knows? But the test is, and that's where it's like, you got to trust the information that you're seeing. Like there's more. So I'm going to go down this. It may not, I don't know, maybe image, it may not look how I want it to, but it works better.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be like, I've always been surprised in A/B testing, how it doesn't have to look like the most pretty or designed. Sometimes it ends up being like the most provocative or interesting, or just something that grabs attention is kind of weird. Like that kind of stuff like does well on A/B tests. I think that's partly why, like when you're around the internet, you see like crazy images show up like occasionally in ads, because it's like they A/B tested that and it worked. And it's, one of our ads just closed a deal, and it's just this guy that's just tatted to hell. And he's like gigantic beast man, just tatted. It says, you don't have to tattoo your logo on your body to be a Leeds beast or something like that. And like, it did really well. It was just weird. And I feel like it just like, it popped up and it literally just closed the deal. And I'm like a big deal weirdly. And they like cited that ad. So I think people need to be like, I'm not saying to just let the algorithm or like A/B testing totally make your brand. But if you take some wild shots and try some things, you might be surprised.
And just on that as well, it's like you can change the image. Okay, what works? That one's better. Okay, then change the text. Okay, that works. So then you kind of step by step, you're building the most effective version of that ad, image or picture or whatever that thing is, the most effective version. So you can increase conversions, get more traffic, get more sales, and have a better business at the end of the day.
Awesome. And so there's the A/B testing in ClickFunnels. There's A/B and multivariate. Multivariate just means more than two, right? Like I think that's what it means. In Facebook ads, you can do a lot of Facebook ads that way. You can do A/B testing on a regular like website or WordPress website with something called Google Optimize that allows you to do that. I've also used a tool called Optimizely. Those are both good A/B testing things. And Electricians, if you're trying to get more leads, talk to James. James, can you tell them where they can find you as far as like on the internet?
Yeah, so marketingsecretsforelectricians.com is where I'm at the moment. And if you want to jump on, my goal is to get electricians talking. So if you want to come on and have on the show and just talk about your issue or share something that you've learned, or I want to get electricians together, because I personally don't think we talk enough. We're quiet. We need to stand up and lead the electrician industry. Me in particular, I want to focus on the marketing side of it, but I want to bring all types of electricians around the world, which is kind of cool. It's a bit of fun. Get them working together to create a better industry, a better standard and marketing practices for us.
And we were just talking before this podcast, like this is a PS at the end of this bonus content at the end of this podcast. But we were talking before this about content gluttony, which to us is like, if you're not doing something with this content. So go do something. Go do an A/B test in Facebook ads today. It's fun.
Now.
Try it. Try it. And when you're ready to go pro, talk to James, but like try it.
Yeah, definitely
Today.
start taking action. Don't wait. Do something small today and build upon it. Inch by inch, mile by mile. Yeah, you'll get there.
And on the other hand, if you're not consuming enough, like I do think there's a balance, right? Like, like if this is your first like podcast in a while or something, work in a rhythm of content, like do something with it, but also like get involved, like be a part of this. It's cool that we're able to be talking all around the world right now. People are doing it more often right now because of the situation at hand, but get involved, because like how much could you learn from just like 5 other smart electricians in a little pod to learn from each other?
100%. Like there's power in multiple minds. Yeah, 1 mind or 5. Which one's going to win the race? Like always, the team will win. Like this, you just can't compete. Yeah,
absolutely. So, James, it was great to have you. One more time, say your how to get a hold of you.
Marketing secrets for electricians.com. You can get a hold of us there. And yeah, thanks for having me on the show. It's great fun talking about marketing. Other people are passionate about marketing and all this. It's a great pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Hook Better Leads and hookagency.com. Hook Agency all over social media, including YouTube. If you're listening to this, youtube.com/hookagency. And really excited to talk with you guys next week. Join us then. All right, bye.